Welcome to the Breaking the Silence podcast. I am your host, Arthur Nikki Nicole. Here I believe in winning together and creating a safe, supportive space for people to share their stories and start their healing journey. My passion is to help people confront hidden battles, embrace their truths, and take steps towards a more fulfilling life. Every episode is designed to break the silence on topics that often go unspoken, leading to conversations that uplift, inspire, and transform. Join me as we break the barriers and find strength through shared experiences, one story at a time.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another powerful episode of Breaking the Silence. I am your host, Arthur Nikki Nicole, and this is the platform where I shine a light on incredible people who are doing great things and making a difference in the world. Together, we will uncover untold stories, break barriers, and challenge the norms to inspire change. So get ready to be inspired, learn, and join this movement as we break the silence on issues that matter the most and bring awareness to great people in the world. So let's get to the reason why we're here today. Today's guest is Marquise and Taylor Williams. They are the host of the You Stuck With Me podcast. They have an incredible story about their journey together. So I'm not going to give you too much. I'm going to let them tell a little bit more about themselves. So after their countdown, please welcome this amazing couple to the platform. How are y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for being a guest on my platform. I'm so excited about this conversation today. So tell
Thank
everybody a little bit about yourselves.
Well, we are from Chicago. My name is Marquise,
And I'm Taylor.
and we're the co-hosts of You Stuck With Me podcast.
You stuck with me.
So our podcast started out about our relationship and all the things that we had to encounter and overcome before we said I do. And this includes a cancer diagnosis, a mass shooting, and of course the pandemic.
And also I told Marquise that once he get through his treatments and everything like that, he had to get his stuff together because we won't be doing this again. And I just don't do this for everybody. He's stuck. He's
I
stuck
knew
with
it.
And apparently I'm not going anywhere. So
You don't have no choice.
I don't want to go anywhere. I'm good right where I am.
Oh man. So what inspired y'all to start the podcast? Besides your relationship, what inspired y'all to start the podcast, and what is the main mission and vision behind it?
I
Ladies
started.
first.
So how it started was everybody used to always tell us, "Oh, you should write a book. You should write a book about all that you've been through." And I would say, that's a great idea for the future, but I don't think we just quite there yet. But we'll do a podcast. And so we was like, just to give an example that millennial marriages still exist,
Right.
because it's like this myth that millennial marriages don't last or they don't exist. And we like, well, we're millennials, we're in love, we've been through in sickness and health before we said I do, and we still working it out.
And not only are we existing in our marriage, but we're thriving. We're enjoying our marriage. We're having
Yeah.
fun with it. So we just want to pull back the curtain on the belief that millennials aren't getting married, and in particular, black men aren't getting married. They're not marrying black women, when that's totally false.
Right. So tell me how this love story started. How did y'all meet?
Okay, well, first, before we get to that, I always say there's three sides to the story. There's my side, then there's his side, and then there's the truth,
which is really my
which is
side.
merely my side.
Oh my, you just got to nod. You just got to nod, Marquise. You can't go against that. We just got, yeah, okay.
Mm.
Okay, let me hear his side first.
So we actually met while we were in high school. I was a senior and she was a freshman. I was actually a year ahead of where I was supposed to be. I was actually supposed to be a junior, but we went to a small high school, so naturally all the classes were intermixed. We had a gym class together. Um, and me being who I was in high school, the jokester all the time, not taking anything seriously. Sometimes I did, but most times not. So she's sitting on the bleachers with another friend of ours, and she's pointing some out in the gym, and I sit down next to her, and I'm like, "That you need to take care of that," pointing out, her underarm. But I actually didn't see anything. I was just being silly, and so I walked off, and I guess I left her scarred. So 2 weeks later, I had the gall and audacity, emphasis on the gall and audacity, to ask her out on a date. Not only did she not tell me no, she never gave me an answer.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
so I had to walk around and hold that L the entire year,
The year?
the year.
Oh,
And
oh
so
my heart.
later on that year, I graduated, and eventually she graduated, and we both went off to college. She went to Kansas State. I went to Northern Illinois University. Um, and I joined my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and she joined her sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the only brother sister constitutionally bound fraternity and sororities. So I joined first, and then she joined the next year. And I reached out to her. I said, "Congratulations, welcome to the family." We talked for a little bit, and that was that for a while. We both eventually ended up moving back home to Chicago, and we ran into each other at a Greek picnic. So we were walking around talking to each other, just picking up like nothing, like old friends. And then we started periodically hanging out, and then that following year we started dating. Um, a month into us dating, I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia, which is a blood cancer. And she stayed with me every step of the way. She was with me. She came to see me after she worked 12 long hours in a rehabilitation hospital, not the same one I was in, but she would come see me and stay with me. Then, when it was time for me to be discharged, she helped me through my medications along with my parents. She came to visit me, spent the night with me just to make sure I was good. And, you know, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for her, because she definitely had my back throughout everything. So when we came up with the title "You Stuck With Me," it worked two ways. It was like she just said, "You stuck with me. I don't do this for anybody," but also you stuck with me through the mass shooting, which I'm going to get to, the cancer diagnosis, and of course the pandemic. So after spending a lot of time in quarantine because I had a compromised immune system, I was able to go back out in public. But during that time, she was already into the game, and I was coming back to the game. We played Madden, the football game. So we both got into wanting to play in a professional tournament. So we waited till the next version of the game came out, and the first tournament was in Jacksonville, Florida. So we're it's a 2-day tournament. So first day is round robin, and then the second day is a single elimination. I made it to the second day. So I lost in the first round, and then we decided to stick around to see who ended up winning the tournament, because the winning prize was $5,000. So while we're watching, she tells me that she's hungry. So we go to the pizza bar. The game setting was attached to a pizza bar, and we're waiting for someone to take our order. All of a sudden we hear a huge pop, and we look at each other, and we thought it was a balloon, but it dawned on us quickly, like, there are no balloons in here. And so next thing we know is we hear pop, 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 and one of the competitors started shooting in the gaming area. So we got out of there. We were about 10 feet away from the entrance, but about 20 or 30 feet away from the shooter. And he was facing the opposite direction. So all of us were trying to get out. Everybody who was in the area, I was the first one to get out between us. And I'm looking, I was here, and then all of a sudden I hear, "Babe, babe." I turn around, she's limping and she has no shoes on. So I go back to grab her, and we make our way to safety, and we see an elevator. So we're pushing the button on the elevator, pushing the up button on the elevator, and it doesn't open. And so we see a guy who works in an adjoining. It wasn't Hooters. Hooters was farther down. It was a Mexican restaurant, and we were saying, "Help us, help us! There's a shooter." Now we don't know if there was a language barrier or what, but he closed the door on us. And then one of the tournament showrunners came behind us, and he said, "Open the door. There's an active shooter, active shooter." So he opened the door, and then about maybe 6 or 7 of us rushed the door.
Probably a little bit. Well, the three of us rushed in, and then the restaurant was pretty full, so we all headed back to the restroom away from where the activity was going on. We all just in different stalls, and I think it was like a kid in there too, like let's say like a toddler in there.
Yeah, so it was probably about 15 to 20 of us in this one bathroom.
In this one bathroom.
With only 2 stalls. But we're keeping our heads low because this guy has a gun, and we don't know if he has bullets that can go through the wall or what. So we were probably in there about for a good 30, 45 minutes before I decided to run out and see if I could find a paramedic or something, because she sprained her ankle. Somebody stepped on her ankle while she was trying to get out. So after that, we made our way to the hospital where she can be checked out, and I was checked out. I just had cuts and bruises on my leg, and we eventually went back to the scene because in the rush to get out of there, we lost our phones, we lost our shoes, and one of us had the little bag. I think I was the one that had the top bag.
You had that. You didn't lose that.
I didn't lose that. So we had to eventually go back to the scene and get our stuff. And that's when we were approached by the media, asking questions. And I actually ended up meeting a friend who plays Man too, and he was very instrumental. His name was Lee, and he was, making sure that we were good. He heard about the shooting. He knew we were there, and he literally drove to every major hospital in Jacksonville looking for us until he came back to our Airbnb, and he found us, and he just gave us the biggest hug. And I just actually got off the phone with Lee earlier tonight, so shout out to Lee.
Wow. And this is before y'all got married.
Yeah. So
sickness and health. Y'all stood together through that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, y'all went through all of that before marriage. Now, what was your version? Now, you said his version, your version was the truth. That was not his version, was dramatic. Ooh.
Well, everything is true except for 2 parts. Okay. So it's back towards high school. So he did, did the whole thing like that up under there. But I thought he actually seen something there, and I thought he was talking about my underarm hair. And of course, I'm a teenager. I'm going into my body. I'm learning, how to deal with certain stuff. So I go and tell my mom, and you would think she'll comfort me. No, she was like, "Well, you are at that age." I'm like, "What side are you on?" That was number 1. And number 2, I didn't just not give Marquise an answer. So I was out sick for about a week. He always does that. I was out sick for about a week. So, out of sight, out of mind. And then also I also had a boyfriend at the time.
A what?
At the time.
A what?
And I didn't take him seriously. I was a freshman. He was a senior. So, he could just be running game.
Right.
And by the time I came back from being sick, Marquise didn't follow up with me. So I didn't take him serious at all.
Right. Okay, that seemed like that was on you. He looking.
Yeah. So everything else is correct, but those things there.
So what are some of the biggest challenges y'all face as a couple while working together, in the public space of podcasting especially, and how do you navigate them?
I say one of the things we still learn to navigate is like what to share and when to pull back.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we do before we even record an episode is we have like our own personal planning meeting, and we'll have like different topics and stuff like that. And I'll just be like, hey, babe, I think I want to share this story about, let's say, one example would be we talk about one of the episodes we talk about is like the around the time when I was being his caregiver. So at first I was kind of hesitant about doing that topic because it was like I had some feelings and stuff that I was afraid that would come out wrong, and plus I didn't want it to come out that I was like bashing. But after talking to him, he was like, no, I know what you felt like, and if nobody understands it, at least it gives them a different perspective.
Right.
So just
Right.
running ideas past each other, like, how do you feel about this? Or let's word this differently. And then we do have safe words. We were like, hey, like we'll say that safe word, like, hey, you starting to talk a little bit much here, let's
Oh,
reel it in.
okay.
But
Okay.
it's always been that mutual respect.
Yeah.
If she doesn't feel comfortable sharing something, then we won't share it. If I don't feel comfortable sharing something, we won't share it. But we'll before we do anything, we'll always run it by each other.
Yeah.
Hmm. See, I was getting ready with social media and playing a huge part and a huge role in relationships and how they're perceived. How has your relationship, been influenced by social media, both positively and negatively? Because social media now is different from my time. I'm in Generation X. We had dial-up internet, we had the house phones, we had the minutes before 9. It was a whole different ball game with relationships in my time.
I
So
remember
how
the
has
minutes
that
before
perceived for
mine.
y'all now?
Well, for the most part, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's been positive because we spend a lot of time talking to each other, communicating with each other. We watch other podcasters and see what they're doing, and we learn how to take things and glean from them, glean from other couples. We've actually linked up with a lot of couples doing this podcast. Great couples from all over the country, and we will take if anything works for us, then we'll use it. And if it doesn't, then we don't, and we realize that that's okay.
And then negatively, I'll say, just like when anything you put on social media, either be a podcasting or just a regular Facebook post, you're always going to get some
Yeah.
negative feedback, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes I might see a comment or two and be like, what the heck you talking about? Be ready to snap off. But, I learned over time that, negative comments still help it towards the end, because I mean they took the time to look, and we need the views anyway. So
And
Exactly.
one thing I've noticed is that it's amazing how people can take a 10, 30, 60-second clip and just come up with a whole narrative that doesn't even make sense.
man, and be thinking they know our whole relationship like that.
It's like, no, we only share what we want you to see. So
Exactly. A whole clip and just take it and turn it around to something else. You're right. Social media has a way of building relationships as being, what can I say? I say in a negative way sometimes, because the life that people choose to share on social media sometimes is this glamour life, but in reality is something else.
mhm.
Mhm.
So they may look at you on the podcast and say, okay, well, yeah, they're sharing some of their good things that happen and bad things. Are y'all sharing your whole world when y'all do your episodes, or you're just like you say, you choose what you want to share, but is it good and bad put together?
Yeah, it's good and
It's
bad.
a mixture.
We've shared about the shooting, the cancer diagnosis, but we also share about all the great things that we do. Just going on vacations, or just we have an episode that I really like. It was one of our earliest episodes. It's date night, and the way we do our podcast, and this is what I love about my wife. She's a huge music head. So if you listen to our podcast, you'll notice that every title of an episode is a song title. So that
Hmm.
episode that I'm talking about date night is Luther Vandross, "Can I Take You Out Tonight?" Uh,
Okay.
or we're talking about if we're talking about something that's happening in society and we feel very militant, we have Kendrick Lamar, "All Right." So we have everything. We go through a lot of the different decades. So we have Janet Jackson, and then we have Karen White. We have Michael Jackson, and then we have Nas. So
and then I think we have do we have the spinner?
no, not yet.
Not yet, but that's in the works.
Nice. I like that. I like that. Make that now that make I was getting ready to ask you what makes y'all stand out, but to me that makes you stand out even more because I never knew that. I actually watched a couple episodes, but I didn't pay that any attention about the titles and everything. Now y'all gonna make me go back and look at some more episodes and be like, okay, now I see the reason why she named it this. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So now with y'all being together for quite some time, how do you keep now? I know everybody want to know this question because I've been married almost 10 years, y'all. How do y'all keep the spark alive in your marriage, both on and off the podcast? Because being married for so long and being around a person that long and still loving a person and still trying to make that spark fire again, how do y'all do that?
First 10 years, we tip our hat to you. We need to be asking you what's the secret sauce, okay?
Yeah, because in July we made 3 years.
We made 3 years.
Even though we by that point we've been together 8
8 years.
Nice. Yeah, I got 10 and married and 20 together. But you know what? It's just trial and error. I think marriage and anything that you do is trial and error. You got to go through it. You got to get the experience. You know, you're going to go through some good and you're going to go through some bad times. But people don't think people are so in love with with getting married in the beginning, the dress, the tux, the wedding, that they don't know that you're going to experience so much in your marriage that's going to make you want to walk away so many times. So now I don't have time for date night like y'all. Y'all have time for date night over there now.
Well, see, that's the beauty part of it. So in the episode, we discuss how it's not like well thought out dates. Like let's just say we got to go to Walmart, and we're going to Walmart. We're just going grocery shopping, and one of us be like, "Hey, is this a date?" And we'd be like, "Yes," and then like, "Yay," and then we make dates out of that.
Yeah, we make dates out of just
about anything. But to answer the question, how we keep the spark is
we keep dating each other.
We keep dating each other. And then also, since we've been through like a lot of stuff together, like through the mass shooting and the diagnosis and everything like that, in a sense, we feel like we playing catch up on the stuff that we want to do together before all that. So it's like, hey, let's do this. We always want to do this. So the perfect time is now. So we always had that mindset, like we got to catch up on like taking pictures, got to catch up on traveling and stuff like that, make up for lost time.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. You know, when me having kids, we have a newborn right now. I'm looking at time like, you know what? Now we really have to plan things out. Now, when we had the time to date, we wasn't dating. Now we want to go out there and date. So yes, I can see that now. You saying going to work, taking a trip to Walmart is a date.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, you're right. You know, you're talking, you're laughing, you know, you're looking at your surroundings. So in a way, yeah, that's a date. I might have to write that. But
and
so
we both used to drive Uber. So that was another way we would come up with dates. So we would, when we're dropping someone off and we see something, I'd like to try that. Then we bring it back to each other, like, okay, let's do that.
So when we're doing food deliveries, we'll ride with each other for safety. That'd be a date right there. So
doing Uber Eats together, the most funniest stories.
the
most hilarious. We still laugh about.
Oh man. You know what? We do Uber Eats and we don't do the Lyft and stuff together because they say you can't ride together, quote unquote, but we do the Uber Eats together. And that's the best time because you can talk to each other about all kinds of things and listen to music and all different things. I never thought about it as being a date either, but like that's why I enjoy it so much. So to y'all, what does unconditional love mean to you, and how can you practice a healthy way of doing that in a relationship? Because a lot of people out here don't know what unconditional love is, and with y'all going through everything that you've been through, to me, that's every bit of unconditional love.
You want to answer this first, babe?
I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, unconditional love to me, first of all, love is a decision. And the fact that we both get up in the morning and we choose to be here, I think that's unconditional love, because at any point, if she could have walked away, I could have walked away, and we didn't. And, we actually gleaned this from another couple. We actually actively wake up in the morning and ask each other, how can we be of service to each other? Like, what is it that you need today? How can I make it easy? How can I make your day easier for you? Is there something I could take off your plate? Just the fact that we were willing to be of service to each other, it definitely helps. It definitely helps because there'll be days where she'll say, well, she doesn't have anything, or I don't have anything. Or there'll be days when she has something and I have something. But one thing we don't do is we don't try to just like dump everything on each other.
Right.
So that's that mutual love and that mutual respect that we have for each other. So I think that's what unconditional love is.
I
I love it.
say unconditional love is being okay with being last sometimes
Mm.
and being okay with putting someone else beside yourself first.
Hmm.
Like there's plenty of times where especially when being a, well, I don't like to say caretaker, but being a support system for Marquise during treatments, there were times where I would be tired from work. And I used to work at a hospital like nurses hours, like 12-hour shifts.
Mhm.
And Marquise would call, say, babe, I'm not feeling well, or whatever the case may be. Can you bring me something to eat or whatever like that? Instead of me saying no, I'm like, okay, I'll be there at like 15. Just give me 15 minutes to go run home, grab a bag, get what you want, and I'll be there. So just having that mindset of being a comfort because you know that that person will give it to you twice, tenfold later
Hmm.
on, and not really expecting anything back too.
I love it. Putting yourself last. I love it because you know what? You're right. Being, loving someone unconditional can mean a whole lot of different things. But the
Mhm.
ultimate thing is you have to put yourself last if you love that person. So to all these millennial couples out there, what is the key? Since they say, they don't stay together, they don't last. What is the key to staying together in that era?
Mm.
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say first thing I would say is keep everybody out your marriage. That's the first thing. Second thing is if you're heavy into social media, don't believe everything you see on social media because it's just smoke and mirrors. It's just it's just what another podcast that we follow calls the loud minority.
And
Mm.
then also, I would say the main important thing is if you don't know how to love yourself, how can you love somebody else?
There it is.
Right? So, like, if you have no idea how it is to love yourself, and I'm not just talking about like treating yourself to like spa days or anything like that, like the mental work, like you know
Yes.
what you're expecting yourself, or you know what makes you feel good, or something like that. If you don't know how to love yourself, how can you convey that to another person? It's
It's
like, it's like for lack of better words, if you're broken inside, how can you love somebody who's already healed, and then
Mhm.
you don't have a stable foundation? So that would lead to my next one. Make sure you have a stable foundation that's tailored to you guys as a couple.
Exactly. But
And,
people think that's cliche, but it's true. You cannot love somebody else if you don't love yourself. You
and you know,
can't.
I would add to that. I think that going through everything that we went through before we got married only made our foundation even stronger because from talking to other people, especially during the pandemic, the pandemic either broke couples up or brought them closer together. In our case, it brought us closer together because we were attached to the hip, and a lot of people were like, if we didn't know no better, y'all were the same person. Especially my mom. My mom says that it's true because it's good to find somebody who's the yin to your yang, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
The one who when the chips are down and there, I'll give you an example. There was one time I was having a procedure done on me during my time in the hospital. She's watching the procedure. I'm watching her make sure that she's good. So that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Love it.
we
I
did.
love it. But people really don't think that you're gonna go through those vows, like, rich or poor, sickness and health. Like people go through that in real time. Like when you get married, everything start off good sometimes, and then boom, now somebody lost a job, or maybe somebody's sick, and you have to, take care of that person. Like real life does hit. Are you still gonna stick around? Like, are you gonna stay through it all, like your vows say. And some people, I think, just don't believe that that stuff can happen, and that's why marriages just crash and burn. And they probably really don't love. They marry for the wrong reasons sometimes too.
Yeah,
Marry for
and
the wrong reasons.
I think what helped us, other than letting God lead our marriage, is the fact that we went through those things before we said I do. So it was like, hey, this actually can happen in your marriage. But since we went through that, I think that it only fortified what we already had.
And I think what also helped us too, like I was saying, the foundation. So one thing I always advocate for is therapy. Like it's okay to seek help. So one way that because there was a time period where I was just going through a lot before we started dating. I just remember I told Marquise, this was after we got engaged, after he proposed. I just sat him down and I said, hey, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I don't want you to think it's you. It's all me. I said, I need to go to therapy. I got some things I want to sort out. I've been dealing with for a while. And I feel like it would be unfair to you if we walk down this aisle and I'm not 100%. So that's one thing I always say I admire about my husband, that he never judged me for saying that, and he always knows the emphasis of creating a safe space. So that was like one of my foundations as a person, creating a safe space for not only myself but those around me, because you never know what somebody's going through, right? You never know. I mean, you get a few people that will tell you, but they could tell you half a story and have an internal battle inside.
You're
So with
right.
him saying, "Hey, how can I help?" That just, I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is the one."
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one. And you got them too. That's the one.
When she told me that, the first thing I said in true Marquise fashion is, okay, what do you need? That was literally my first. That's the literally thing. The next I said. So
Yep.
Solid.
And he was on me. He was like, "Are you making this appointment today? Like, or how are you feeling today?
Accountability.
Today?"
yeah.
Accountability. I love it. I love it.
And
So
I'm glad you said that because my wife is huge on accountability.
accountability. You have to. You have to have somebody in the relationship to hold you accountable. Because not all. Oftentimes we hold ourselves accountable. You know that we have to have somebody to push us every way. So, what do y'all hope that your listeners will take away from the podcast when it comes to navigating relationships in today's world?
That our relationship was not built overnight.
It's still a work in progress. We came a long way.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little shaky with the with the sickness and the health, and to the almost death do us part before I do. It was a little shaky. We'll give it that.
Yes, but you know what? I think that we can look back on it and say that it was actually worth it because it got us where we are now.
Yeah.
And marriage, marriage with the right person is definitely worth it. So like we said in the beginning, we want to defy the stereotypes that millennials are not getting married or not staying together. Or, black men aren't marrying black women, and that's totally false. It's 85% of black men marry black women. So it's just like I said, the loud minority just pushing that story, and it's not true.
And I would say I want our listeners to understand that don't always chase relationship goals or couple goals, because it's not always what it's saying, but focus on creating a foundation with somebody.
I love it. I love y'all story. It's beautiful. It's really that's why I'm sitting over here just smiling. I'm like, I love the way they love each other. So my final question for y'all, it's out of the box question. If you could invite any fictional couple to be a guest on your podcast, who would it be? And what would you ask them about navigating their relationship in a public space?
Hmm.
Mm.
Fictional couple. That's a good question.
I actually have two.
Mm,
The first couple would be Cliff and Claire Huxtable.
mm, that's a good one. That's a good one.
The second would be Martin and Gina.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh, I know. I would ask Khadijah and Scooter from Living Single how they relationship work because they start off as friends, and then
Yep.
they navigate that gray area of being going from friends to lovers, and then going long distance and coming back.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow. Yeah, those are great choices. Claire, yeah, Claire, yeah. Now that's old school traditional marriage schooling right there. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So y'all, we've come down to our 30 seconds, what I like to call 30 seconds of fame. So I'm gonna run your countdown again. And when we come back, like I have to tell everybody this, don't freak out. You're gonna be up here by yourself. I'm not gonna be up here with you. You're gonna have the platform. This is your moment to give, couples out there some type of advice, in relationships, and also let everybody know how to follow you on your journey on your podcast, and let them know what's going on in 2025 for you. All
Okay.
right.
okay.
All right.
So the one thing that we want to tell you guys about relationship is do the things that you did to get your partner, because once you have your partner, they're going to be wanting those things from you, and you just can't like pull back and not give it to them.
And then also do what's tailored to y'all.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended.
And you guys can find us. You guys can email us at youstuckwithme_podcast. That's our IG page. That is USTUCKWITME. And you can also find us on Facebook. Just type in "You Stuck With Me," all one word, and you'll go to our page, see all of our content, see what we've been talking about, what we're doing. And if you want to email us to our podcast, you can type in "youstuckwithme@gmail.com." That is USTUCKWITME at gmail.com. I'm sorry. You can find me on IG and the app formerly known as Twitter at mine_1. That is M1NE_1. And you can also find me on TikTok. That is You Stuck With Me. Okay.
Podcast.
No, it's no podcast.
It's not a podcast on it. Okay, you can find me personally on Instagram and the app formerly known as Twitter on the Queen Points. That is PO_NTZ. Again, that is Queen Points, PO_NTZ. And if you want some more behind the scenes stuff, since Marquis just now getting on TikTok, you can follow me on Queen Points 22. That is Queen Points 22. And also, if you're in the Chicago area, April 5th, we'll be having our first live show, the You Stuck With Me live show.
Yes. It's going to be at New Direction Church, and it's going to be April 5th. Tickets are $5. You can go to eventbrite.com/You Stuck With Me. That is eventbrite.com/USTUCKWITME. And if you want to listen to our podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube.
Or anywhere you stream your favorite shows. Just remember to like, rate, review, subscribe, and share.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, y'all stuck. You stuck with us.
First of all, two things. Why you just getting on TikTok and TikTok about to go?
Exactly.
Quite honestly, I was like already on a whole bunch of different social media platforms. So I'm like, do I really need another one? But you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'm late to the party, and I actually do like TikTok.
See,
TikTok.
I'll admit I'm late to the party.
I tried to tell them.
Listen, I was up there but wasn't using it, and I just started using it real good, and I'm like, oh, then now they want to take it away from me. I kind of like it now. I ain't gonna lie, I kind of like it. I was like you too, Marquise. I was like you too. Two, congratulations on the live show.
Thank you.
That's got to be exciting. I'm excited for y'all. If y'all have any advertisements that y'all want to send out, send it to me so I can share it with my audience as well. So we can, if they're in the area, I don't know, I might have somebody that's in the area that want to attend.
Okay, and
thank you.
And it's also a special night because our live show is our 100th episode.
Go ahead now.
Yeah.
Ooh, congrats. I'm excited for y'all, man. You know what they say, after you make it after 10 episodes, you're gonna last anyway. So after I hit that 11th episode, I was like, yes, I'm gonna make it. So yes. 100 is amazing, y'all. I'm so proud of y'all. Keep pushing. I'm excited about y'all union because y'all make somebody smile, man. Just hearing y'all love story. I love it. I love y'all loving the way y'all love each other. And thank you so much for being guests on my platform. If there's anything I can do on my end for you to advertise the further things, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Well, thank you for having us. I am a big fan.
Yes.
I am a big fan. So when I found out we was gonna, I was like, oh yes. Yes.
Me? You a big fan of me?
Yes.
Really?
Big fan.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. You just made me blush. You're gonna make me cry.
Yes.
Look,
He will tell you. I said, who?
Yeah.
Nicole? What? Yes.
Look, we get it because we did a guest spot on someone else's podcast, and when they said they were a fan of ours, we were like, wait a minute, what? It's like you don't hear that often. It's like
you don't.
It's like, wow.
So
y'all
we
just
have
made my day.
We have to give you your flowers.
Mm-hmm.
We are big fans, and thank you for having us on your platform.
Thank
and you stuck
you.
with us now too.
Yeah, we got to do this again.
Absolutely. Anytime y'all have something else coming up, just hit me up and we'll do another show, do another run.
Okay.
All right. Thank y'all so much. And thank you everyone else out there that's tuning into this amazing episode, this amazing love story. Man, listen, they went through it all before they said I do. And they're leading the way with this amazing love story of millennials. Y'all too can make it. Y'all too can make it too. They're proof. They're still going. They went through all of that before getting married, and they're still together. So I think it's true. They're stuck together. They know it. They stuck together. So thank you so much for tuning into this amazing episode today. Remember, the courage to share your truth is the first step towards healing. And every story we tell brings us closer to understanding, growth, and change. So if today's episode has resonated with you in any type of way, share it with someone who needs it. And let's keep breaking the silence together. So until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and always speak your truth. Later.
Yeah, also too, let's be honest, we've been hearing that the dating pool is trash.
And not only is it trash, but imagine what it's like trying to date at 50 and 60. Because if dating is between 30 and 35, from what I've heard, like you said, it's trash.
It's trash.
And it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. And then so basically you're starting in a age bracket where mentally, assume mentally you in a different space, right? You basically already established. Now you just focused on, how to live out the rest of your years in a sense.
And another thing is, because the older we get, for the most of us, the more we tend to be stuck in our ways.
Right.
And
so now you got to deal with